Hi, this is Chris Bennett, host of the Burning Chiva Hour. Join us on Pot TV, home of the herb.
No matter what name you give it, in Canada, we call it illegal.
Marijuana was criminalized in 1923 with no debate.
Attitudes have not shifted sufficiently that we're going to move the yardsticks.
Under the influence of the drug, he killed his entire family with an axe.
Stoned explores the debate from one man's perspective in the center of the struggle.
I'm certainly not a criminal, and I think in the minds of most people that's pretty obvious.
Rough Cuts, next on CBC News World.
Hi there, I'm Mark Emery of Mark Emery Direct Seeds, of course, and in this room we have the first Sensimilla edition in North America of the Aussie Bushman, which won first place in the 2000 Nimbin Cup. And these are spectacular. If you look at these frosty resinous colas popping up all around me, really large flowering growth for just 3.5 weeks into flowering. Imagine how they're going to look at 8 weeks. They're going to be stunning. And these seeds are available from Irish Rose Seed Company at only $45 for 10 seeds. And that's spectacular for a cup winner out of Australia. It won second place in North America at our smoking test last year. And I think you're going to find this one of the most adorable sativas you can have in your home collection. And I urge you to get the Aussie Bushman from Mark Emery Direct Seeds. That's me. And good gardening.
Hello there, I'm Ann Medina, and welcome to a special shortened edition of Rough Cuts due to News World's Olympic coverage. In an indirect way, we're also examining an Olympic theme, although an unexpected one, marijuana. Now that Ross Rebagliati can keep his gold medal, and the Olympic Committee has discovered that it has no legal basis for banning the drug, we thought we might take a closer look at it. Is pot a relatively harmless social drug? Does it have significant health benefits? Or is it dangerous and deserving of the life sentence that could go along with its trafficking? For some Canadians, these questions are not simply theoretical. Their futures are being affected by the answers. Unfortunately, it's often hard to weed out, or should I say, distinguish between the facts and the politics, and it's rare one hears both sides of the case. Our documentary, Stoned, is by first-time filmmaker and lawyer Russell Bennett. It argues for the decriminalization of pot.
This was Her Majesty the Queen versus Christopher James Clay and Jordan Kent Prentice. The accused were jointly charged that on or about the 17th day of May 1995, the City of London did unlawfully traffic in a narcotic, namely cannabis sativa, contrary to Section 4, Subsection 1 of the Narcotic Control Act.
How has this affected your future, all of this?
Chris is facing 3 life sentences. Clearly, Parliament has an obligation to make sure that the law is sound before they expose this man to 3 life sentences.
Chris Clay is the owner of the Hemp Nation retail store in London. Jordan Prentice is one of his employees. Nearly 2 years ago, they were arrested for selling a small cannabis plant to an undercover police officer and hit with a variety of charges. Clay has decided to use the case as an opportunity to challenge the country's cannabis laws. He's hired 2 Toronto lawyers, Paul Burstein and Osgoode Hall law professor Alan Young, to handle his case. During the course of the trial, the defense is expected to call expert witnesses from across North America, including a Harvard psychiatrist and a senior scientist with the Addiction Research Foundation. Young says if his clients are convicted on the original charges, he will then launch a constitutional challenge, arguing that it is beyond the authority of Parliament to criminalize harmless conduct.
How did we ever get involved in this? I mean, we've never touched that stuff. We don't smoke. We're never interested. And here we are, at this stage in our lives, somehow semi-funding a constitutional challenge for marijuana. I just can't believe what happened.
I tried smoking pot maybe twice when I was 16, and I ended up drinking. I thought that must be safer because it was legal. And it wasn't until I was about 21, going to Ryerson, when I first, really got into it. And while I was studying there, that's when I started to research the hemp and marijuana issue. So when I came back to London for the summer, I had a booth at a flea market just distributing literature, and it was just overwhelmingly popular. People were coming and they wanted information and books. So after 4 weekends, I ended up getting a store, and then I got a youth venture loan from the government to get some more inventory. We did pretty good for the first 2 years, although I'd never had any business experience, so I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. We had some things made from hemp clothing and paper and whatnot, and we also had pipes and bongs and grow guides and seeds to grow marijuana.
We had the best deal in Canada. We would sell 6 seeds for $25 with a 100% germination guarantee, which just means, you know, they'll all pop, they'll all germinate and grow.
I did that very openly, actually. No, you know, the police never hassled me at all. I had a big sign in the window with all the strains listed.
I think he operated for 4 years without any problems until this undercover officer went in and bought this little seedling. And that's how the case started. Why did he sell these clones? He sold them because he wants people to grow their own pot so they don't have to become part of the black market and perpetuate all the evils that are associated with the black market. And he knew what he was doing. He knew he'd get caught. I mean, he wasn't doing this in a subterranean way like a drug trafficker trying to make a lot of money.
And well, if I win, everybody wins. It's going to be legalized for industrial, recreational, and medical purposes. Now, these are 3 very separate issues. Some people are only interested in one instead of all of them. But unfortunately, these laws link them all together. So, you know, I'm kind of involved with all of them right now.
I didn't realize that he was going to start selling these bongs and things like that, because I definitely wouldn't have approved of that. However, he did it, and my name's on the note, so I have no choice, but I have to continue to support him.
I was selling pipes and bongs since I opened, though.
You were?
Yeah. The first day I had pipes.
I thought it was just all, oh boy. Anyway.
No, I didn't have many. I didn't have many.
Well, you were selling those seeds, and then when you got those plants down there, I almost hit the roof. And the reason why you did it, I guess you wanted to get, you know, he wanted to get arrested, he wanted to get this thing in the courts and so on, but...
I never dreamed they'd seize the inventory. That's what really screwed me over.
This made me very angry that you did that. And I think that was a foolish thing to do. I don't know if...
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous, yeah.
Someone brought them in, and I decided, all right, now's the time.
Would you do anything spontaneous like that again?
I don't know. We'll have to see how this turns out before it.
I'm not signing any notes for you again, that's it.
We live in the suburbs. It's a quiet house, and we had a police drug raid. They kicked the door in and, you know, trashed my room and guarded my mother for 3 hours so she wouldn't destroy evidence.
Who would ever believe that I would be watched by a police officer for 3 hours in my own
That was
home?
probably the most disturbing thing to me, because they were trying to stop Chris. They were trying to intimidate him. They didn't want this challenge to continue. Certainly there are other people in the country that are much more vocal than Chris is, but the fact is Chris was involved in a constitutional challenge, and there's no doubt in my mind that they want to put as much pressure on him as possible. And they thought, well, maybe if we invade his home, that he'll realize that this whole thing is not worthwhile. I think it made all of us more angry, and probably made me more determined. I was very much an establishment type, and I didn't really challenge anything. I didn't want to rock the boat, but when it happens to you, when somebody comes in your house like that, that is scary, and it can happen in Canada.
I mean, what a waste of money to pay a police officer 3 hours time to watch me.
Someone robbed the bank in the Galleria Mall while they were raiding the store that day.
When the day that we got busted, the bank got robbed. There's a little bar just 2 doors down. One of the crackheads from there went to the Galleria Mall a block away, robbed the bank, and here we are getting busted. You know, harass the pot smokers, but leave all the drunks and bank robbers and crack addicts alone. Because marijuana seeds are much more dangerous than an armed robber waving a gun in someone's face. That's the way it is in the world.